Hello, Kira.
Hey, Aaron.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good.
Oh, no. Oh, good. I thought I froze.
Oh,
I'm back.
you're back. We had a great turnout for the Cougar Cruise today.
Oh, good. Good,
Yeah.
good, good. Like what kind of turnout?
I would say it's hard to count crowds,
Yeah.
but 60, 70 people.
Awesome.
I
That's
mean,
great.
hard to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, but a big size group.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad
And
they decided to do it during a school day.
yeah, actually there was a student, and this is another good reason why students should be active on the campus bicycle committee, despite what Nathan Ormsby thinks.
Yeah.
A student was arguing for that back in March, and they did it on Saturday, and the turnout was pretty miserable. And so it was like everybody got like 6 J dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you there in March?
I was there for the one in March. Yeah, they had us do like a little booth thing. And it was just like pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Did they still have like booths and such for
There was one booth, but it wasn't really bicycle specific. It was more about sustainability.
Okay, because I liked that they had all the booths and they had like cornhole, they had like all sorts of activities there at the end of last year's at the end of the Cougar Cruise, which I thought was fun. But it was just a bummer that all of us came out, but not many students were there.
Yeah. I don't know how much say I have because I'm no longer on that committee, but I thought they could have like the bicycle elements of yesterday's event, moving those to today's event and then having today's event it be part of it, or like the culminating part be the Cougar Cruise would be a good idea, I think.
I think you should at least suggest that, because that's the other thing is we were asked by a separate person, I think from the sustainability office, to be in the like Earth Week fair, which is also this week. And I passed that off to one of my
really?
Yeah. So I passed that off to one of my employees and she forgot that she signed up for today's. And anyway, but I was like, oh, I didn't even realize it was this same week. That's weird that everything was happening at the same time.
The Earth Day was separate from yesterday's sustainability.
Well, I don't entirely know. I think that it was all part of the sustainability, but it was just weirdly organized. And it's like over 3 days that they said that we could come have a booth. So but yeah, I like your idea of having all the bike stuff be on the same day as the Cougar Cruise. I think that makes a lot more sense.
One piece of good news, and then I'll turn it over to Christine. Sorry. I did hear from, well, the general counsel for BYU came to the ride, which was cool. So VIP, although nobody recognizes him, because he's not Kevin J. Worthen. And the Dean of Humanities was there, but a couple of people mentioned that, including this general counsel, that BYU's thinking of creating a micro mobility committee and welcoming scooters and bicycles, welcoming them all onto campus. And I think that's a positive development. We can be hopeful. Christine, sorry, Kara and I got to chat.
That's okay. Thanks for chatting and welcoming everyone to the meeting with some nice informal updates. Yeah, we have a good group here already, so I think we'll get started. we like to do introductions first, but I wanted to check in first with Heather Skabelund. She's on our agenda today, and I know she doesn't have a lot of time. So Heather, I wanted to give you the opportunity to go prior to introductions, if that would be helpful for you.
That would be awesome.
Okay, go ahead, kick us off.
Okay, so I just wanted to report on Bike to School Week. And Hugh cannot make it. He just texted me. So I'm going to just give like a quick report from Hugh. He said that we had 9 different businesses and agencies that contributed prizes. I felt like we had a great number of prizes to give the kids each day. Like at Timpanogos, our elementary school, I think we gave out at least 10 prizes every day, maybe 8 to 10 prizes. Some were small, like stickers, but there were there were 2 helmets and water bottles and a toolkit and other items. So that was awesome. He did ask if anyone has ideas about how to thank the businesses that helped with Bike to School Week. So I don't know what we've done in the past or if anybody has specific ideas about that.
I don't know if we have done anything in the past. Yeah, Chelsea, what's your idea?
Yeah, I mean, we can do a social post, a specific one that's a thank you, and we can tag everybody and all the businesses. That's one way we could do it.
Yeah, we could also do thank you, like physical thank you cards signed from BikeWalk Provo. Yeah.
I'm happy to do the cards. If we wanted to do something like that, I could do that. But I do think a social post would be great too.
I think both would be good.
Yeah. And then in terms of Bike to School Week, I can only speak, well, I have a few ideas for next year that I would like to sort of do differently. I feel like I had trouble getting actual contact information for all the PTA presidents. The district-wide PTA president really wanted to handle that herself, but I feel like it probably would have been more effective to reach out to each PTA president individually. So I would like to try to do that next year and give people plenty of advance notice and try to encourage them by telling them specifically kind of what schools do, because I think sometimes people feel like it's daunting, but it's really not that difficult. So next year, even if it requires me just to call each school and get that information, that's probably what I'll do next year. We had, now I'm trying to remember, I think we had, Aaron, I think I told you this, so if you remember.
I don't remember.
I know we had Timpview High, Centennial Middle School, and about 6 or 7 elementary schools participate this year. Again, I can only speak for Timpanogos, but I felt like our Bike to School Week was pretty successful. We had lots of kids on scooters, bikes, skateboards, and walking. And so I just like to see, I do think it helps when you have parents, PTA involvement that kind of care about this issue, because I think you're just more apt to get people involved. But overall, I felt like it was successful for Timpanogos. I don't know if anybody has any idea how other schools did.
Rob, do you know if Sunset View participated? Did your kids?
No, we actually have our youngest that just restarted at Sunset View, but we've had our kids up at Wasatch for the Chinese immersion program. So we actually moved one back over to Sunset View recently, but it was after Bike to School Week. So
Okay.
So, I mean, that's I have ideas about how I'd like to see things happen differently next year. In addition to like contacting PTA presidents individually, I think trying to get the word out. Like I know we were kind of late to the game with the city, but I'd like to see them do a little bit more to promote Bike to School Week next year. We tried to get them to do it, but it didn't happen until like the second to last day. So that was a little disappointing, but I think if we can give them a little bit more heads up, that will be helpful. Yeah, and a few other things, but anything else?
I don't know if maybe you were coordinating with him directly, but I think Joseph Gandy is our public works PI person who he had been an intern, just started full time maybe a month ago.
Okay.
I think he would be a good contact going forward. He could get your stuff on.
That would be great. What's his name again?
Joseph Gandy.
Joseph Gandy. Okay.
Yeah, Rob, we reached out to the mayor's office, and
Gotcha.
yeah, their response time was disappointing.
Yeah. Well, on stuff like that, on anything that we can help out, like he's got regular meetings with them. He can be the one to kind of help push it along and stuff. And so I would suggest Joseph, and you'll probably get a good response, just because the mayor's office is trying to coordinate everything in the entire city, and we can kind of focus on transportation related items. So
okay, thank you.
Can I make just one other suggestion?
Yes.
And I don't know where you got the helmets, but I used to live in Flagstaff, Arizona, and it was for Bike Month, but I think that this would be an even better space for this. The county would donate helmets for children. And so I don't know what Utah County Health Department would be interested in, but I think that it would make a lot of sense because they have a stake in this. And so anyway, I don't know a contact there. It's just an idea.
Someone on our board is Dakota on our board works for Utah County Health Department, so he may be a great place to start with that idea.
And Kira, also the Bike Collective, I know they came to Timpanogos to do what do you call it? There's a name for this. Tune-ups.
Like a mechanic stand.
Yeah. Did any other schools end up reaching out to the collective? No. So,
no. Yeah, and I think we would do it a little bit differently next time. It was pretty chaotic, and a lot of kids came, which is awesome. There's a need for it, but it was like pretty overwhelming for our volunteers. So we'll try to find a more organized way to do it next time.
This is a kind of an aside from Bike to School Month or week, but I would love to see, I know at Timpanogos and maybe other schools, I would love to see a spring, like doing that in the spring. I know we have a lot of kids at Timp who have bikes that have flats or just have other issues. And so I would love to have that happen again. Is that feasible?
Yeah, last spring we had our Independence High School class do the clinic, and I think that doing something like that, I mean, honestly, it might be good because that class is split into trimesters. So we teach a new class every trimester, as I just said. And it could be cool maybe to do one at the end of each trimester. So have it 3 times during the school year so that each class can get a chance to experience that. Okay.
If there are specific dates, I'd love to get the word out to, maybe I could help get the word out to other elementary schools.
Yeah, I'll talk with the teacher there before I commit to anything, because it would be them in charge. And I think we'd also set a barrier of like what kind of bikes we'd work on, because I think a lot of kids come expecting that we'll just do all the labor for free, but really it's like we can like patch tubes, but we probably won't do any like extensive like chain replacements and tire replacements. Those things cost money. So but at least giving them a list of like, this is what your bike needs, this is what we can do.
Okay.
But I can coordinate that with you for sure.
That'd be awesome. That's all on my end.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks for leading that charge. And we're excited to, improve every year, and let us know how we can support you in those new ideas. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And have fun at the Provo Girls Summit tonight. Thanks for jumping on.
Bye.
Okay, so we'll go to our normal introductions to start off. So I'll just call out your name, and if you can just introduce yourself and your affiliation with BikeWalk Provo, or if you're new here, let us know that. and we'll just go around the horn so everybody can say hello. So I'm Christine Branson. I'm the executive director. And Aaron, you're first on my screen.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Skabelund. I'm the director of operations for BikeWalk Provo.
And Kira.
Kira Johnson. I'm the director of Provo Bicycle Collective, and I also help coordinate volunteers for BikeWalk Provo.
Thank you. And Jacob.
I'm Jacob Brooks. I'm the creative director and head of the Rat Crew. And that's why I'm wearing this today. I'm not just doing it for like a fashion statement, but I do like how it fits. Just a little heads up, I finally finished the library today, the racks in the basement, and we painted it, and hopefully people can use it tomorrow. So I'll make a thing, Chelsea, for Instagram. So
thank you, Jacob.
Snazzy one.
And Rob, thanks for providing the paint.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rob, thanks for the paint. Do you want me to bring it back to you?
No, to be honest with you, you can,
Okay.
if you have use for it, I mean, if you have no use for it, sure, go ahead and bring it back, and don't want to just punt it off on you. But if you have use for it, then go ahead and keep it.
We can start using it on the streets, Rob.
I don't recall saying that, but
So Jacob, can you explain to anyone who doesn't know where you installed the new library racks and why?
Yeah, so I don't even know who started. Was it Shannon? Shannon was the one who approached
Mary.
us.
Mary.
Mary?
Yeah, Mary
Okay.
got this started.
Okay, Mary said we need some climate controlled bike racks, and the library has a basement that fulfills those needs. And so we approached the library and I gave them the proposal and they were on board, and they ended up allowing us to install 4 racks, 2 on the south side and 2 on the north side. And so it's right next to a handicap stall. So they're beautiful. And I think it was Shannon. Shannon was approaching me as I was installing it, and she was just elated, ecstatic. So yeah, it's good news for all of us.
Great. So underground parking area, go check out the new racks. Awesome. Thanks. And so anything else, Jacob, from the Rat Crew that you need to announce?
Just we need to fix Macy's. Did you get a hold of them, Aaron?
I reached out and he hasn't responded to me.
It is a disaster, and we will help them.
Yeah.
We will help them. That's about it.
Thank you.
I've been working on Macy's for like 2-3 years. And so it was great that they installed racks, but they installed them incorrectly. They have half the capacity that they could. They look silly.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Christine. Go on. We're done.
Thanks for the update.
Stan Morris, BikeWalk Provo story.
Thanks, Stan. And Nick.
Hey, I'm Nick. I'm a volunteer here for fun.
Cool. Do you have a volunteer position, Nick, that you want to share? Remind me.
I don't.
Okay, we will soon. Chelsea.
Hi, I'm the communications director.
And Rob Hunter.
I am the Provo City Transportation Engineer.
We'll hear from Rob in a minute. And Clark, we'll also hear from. Clark, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Clark Pixton. I'm the Director of Data and Research at BikeWalk Provo.
It's Karen.
Hi, Karen Todd, and I'm the newsletter editor.
And the reason that you all remember to come today, thanks for sending out our emails, Karen.
You're welcome.
Brad.
I'm Brad. I'm actually sitting at the Bicycle Collective because I couldn't find the physical place. I thought there was the meeting was going to be like at a place. So I was looking for it. So I just parked here. And I don't know, who am I? I just like to come to the meeting sometimes.
Cool. Yeah, we have in-person volunteer meetings for a while, but we should.
I was just thinking that I saw an address on the website. Anyway, but I couldn't find it again, so I must have been wrong.
You're in a good place, so all works out.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm James Hall, and I do the guided tours of downtown, both walking and biking.
James, I didn't warn you, but can you tell everyone about the tour that you did at the Utah Pedestrian Summit a few weeks ago?
Yeah, sure. So we did an abbreviated version of the downtown walking tour. It was a little intimidating because most of the attendees have much deeper knowledge than I do about urban design and transit, but we had a good turnout, probably, I guess, 20 to 30 people. And the rain held off for most of the walk, and we had some good questions and participation.
I'm curious, what were some of the questions, if you remember? I know it was a while ago. What were some questions that you were asked, or kind of thoughts that you had after kind of doing that with that group?
Yeah, it wasn't so much a question, but something that stuck with me was there were several people from the Salt Lake area that came down for the conference, and many of them were pleasantly surprised by Provo's progress, and they underestimated some of the nice walkable areas that we have in the city. So a few of them were like, oh, that was better than I was expecting. So they were casting a little shade, but definitely I think we should feel proud because this group is a catalyst for a lot of the positive change that's happening.
Cool. Thanks for representing us there.
Sure.
Oh, Clark, you popped into the next spot again. Tricky. We'll make you introduce yourself again. Okay, Todd Greener, are you there?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Todd Greener. My wife and I help out on the website, and I also like to help out on anything that needs a body because getting out's fun too.
Yes. Thanks, Todd. Daniel Jensen.
Hi, I'm Daniel. So I am an urban planner and enthusiast of cycling. Often not able to come, but I have some minutes, so I thought I'd hop on. So
glad to have you. Thanks.
Yep.
And Dakota.
Yeah, I'm Dakota, and I am part of the BikeWalk Provo board. I also work for the Utah County Health Department, working with active transportation.
Perfect. Thanks for joining, Dakota, and representing our board today. All right, well, we'll hop into our agenda. I think that's everyone. If I missed you, I don't think I did. Okay. Okay, so we have a great agenda today. We have Rob Hunter from Provo City, who's going to talk to us first, and then Clark is going to review the bike and ped counts that we did a few weeks ago. So I'm going to turn over the time to them. And we're always happy to have questions and answers, but maybe hold those until Rob and Clark have been able to present, and then we'll open up to questions for each of them. So Rob, if you want to go ahead first.
All right. Well, I had intended to put together a list of and even a presentation, quickly reminding the stuff that we've done this year for bikes and peds. But Gordon's been gone. The city engineer's been gone for the last 2.5 weeks, and so I've been trying to cover 2 jobs and didn't quite get to putting it together. But just kind of going through things quickly that I can remember. On our road rehab project, we added bike lanes to Columbia Avenue. We added bike lanes to a stretch of Canyon Road from University Parkway to 2230 North. We actually, I guess going back to Columbia, the other thing that we did was add sidewalk that had been missing at the bottom of that hill, a gap in the sidewalk. So that'll help out pedestrians and cyclists, hopefully. We extended bike lanes on 1450 that for whatever reason had been left off on the last maybe 1,000 feet of 1450. And then we did ADA ramp project in the South Provost neighborhood, adding in, I'm trying to remember, it was like 60 ADA ramps in that area, which still doesn't get every intersection every corner of every intersection, just because of how, old Provo is. And it wasn't always the requirement. We're missing ADA ramps in a lot of places, but 60 new ADA ramps in that neighborhood. And then we did sidewalk project for the second year in a row. We've added sidewalk to areas of Franklin that have been, I think, long overdue for getting some sidewalk improvements, making that an even better walkable neighborhood. And then we were able to get funding through this year's Mountain Land Association of Governments funding. So the funding, the projects were selected this year, and they'll be constructed in probably 25, maybe pushed back to 26, depending on when exactly we get our funding. But we got funding for trails connecting. So I should say, the one that I was going to say is on 6 South. So we're going to be adding next year with the CDBG grant, we're going to be adding sidewalk on the north side of 6 South between Second East, the missing sidewalk from Second East over to First West, and then doing some improvements on First West. Development is on the east side of First West between 6th and 5th is putting in improvements on their side. We're going to be completing the improvements on the other side to start that corridor that has a specific design in the downtown street standards for an active transportation, a wider sidewalk, traffic calming measures at all the intersections, and bike facilities. So we'll be putting that in next year, and then we've got funding to put a trail on the south side of 6 South, complete a missing section of trail on South State Street. Park's got funding to do the area by Macy's, the probably sketchiest part of the of the Provo River Trail. They'll be redoing that and making that a really nice wider facility like they have in other places. We completed with our Lakeview Parkway project. We completed trail out there, and actually there's all the connections are open now. If you haven't been out there in the last couple of days, as of yesterday, everything's open. You can use all the trails that connect up onto the Lakeview Parkway trail down into the Provo River trails are all open now. So yeah, we've had a lot of success. We put in rapid flashing beacons temporarily at the corner of Canyon Road and University until we can get that fully reconstructed and take out that dangerous wide sweeping turn that's always been a hazard for pedestrians. Put in some temporary measures to shorten that. Put up a rapid flashing beacon. Put up a rapid flashing beacon on one of the crossings up on Canyon Road, and we'll have another one just north of Dave's Market to help. It'll help a lot of people, but especially all the probably a couple hundred of high school students that go across that area daily to go over to the Dave's Market area for lunch. And yeah, we'll just continue on. So that's kind of a overview of what we've done this year. I'm probably missing some things since, like I said, didn't have time to put together an actual presentation for it.
Aaron reminded you of one in the comments. And so the one.
Oh yeah,
that Timpy Drive.
Yep, the gap in Timpy Drive.
Let's give Rob a round of applause. Thank you for those projects and for the update. We are grateful and glad to see it, and know you have more coming. So I'll let you keep going. I know that's not the end of what you have presented.
Yeah, so I also wanted to do a quick presentation to this group about the safety action plan that we recently got approved through the city council. So the safety action plan, let me share my screen here. Is everybody seeing the document up?
Yep.
Let me scroll up to the top. So the safety action plan is kind of an appendix. We're intending to add this as an appendix to the transportation master plan, and it's based off of the Safe Streets for All grant program and some of the specific requirements that they had of how they wanted safety analyzed and specific projects identify that the methodology and everything, we needed to update what we had done. There is a safety section in the transportation master plan, but it didn't quite fit the model that that this grant wanted. So it was kind of this grant is the spur for doing the safety action plan, but it's not, this isn't intended to be only to go after those grant monies. This is intended to be something that now that we've adopted, that is going to continue of having a more robust safety analysis as we move forward with our transportation master plans. And so let me go through here. What it does, following this criteria, we our consultants mapped out kind of crash trends over the year. So this is total crashes, as you can see, year over year. So
Bob,
yeah.
Can you enlarge your the document itself a little bit? All right, thank you.
Just like that. Okay. So as you can see, there's a general trend had been a general trend in the kind of wrong direction. We're starting to trend in the right direction. Obviously 2020 is going to be heavily influenced by COVID and there was less cars on the road, and so you're going to see less crashes. But even in 2021, where we basically came back to the same amount of traffic, we still saw a lower overall crash rate, which is what we're looking for. When you look at specific types of crashes, now what we wanted to, with the safety action plan, what we wanted to do, what we were required to do is really put an emphasis on the fatal and serious injury crashes. And this is what you see over the last 10 years in Provo, which are, with this, we adopted a Vision Zero statement, which is we want to, with a specific goal of reduction by 2040, 50% reduction in fatal and serious crashes by 2040. And then with the eventual goal of, we'll, as we go through and we implement this, we'll reset, we'll kind of make those as we accomplish goals, we'll and move towards that, we'll set stricter and stricter goals going forward to where the eventual goal is the Vision Zero, is no fatal and serious injury crashes on our roads. So it's kind of sporadic. Fatal crashes don't really follow a trend per se. If you look from year to year, there's some years that you can see that we had 1, there's other years that we had 8, then we'll go down to 2, then 8. So there's not a real clear trend. The overall, now we definitely want to be in the 0 category. But overall, for a city the size of Provo, these are better than average, but our goal is to make them 0. This is also our serious injury rate. So there's kind of a general, as after 2013, again, it jumps up and down and everything, but it seems to be, we'll continue to monitor, but it seems to be we're going in the right direction. But we'll see as we continue along. Pedestrian involved crashes. It's, I would say, kind of jumping all around, and there may be a slight trend upwards or maybe flat, but we want to see it getting better. So we definitely have some work to do. Bicycle involved crashes over the last at least 7 years, it seemed to be going in a trend downwards as we add specific bike infrastructure. And so as we continue to make that more robust infrastructure, we should see that continue to trend downwards also. There's a lot, and I think maybe the most helpful is kind of a heat map of where we see, looking at our fatal and serious crashes. This kind of shows a heat map of where the worst places are. Obviously I-15, just pure volume and speed. The highways always have, high amount of, not necessarily a high percentage of crashes, but when you have a crash, it's pretty significant amount that are serious or fatal. And so what we're focusing on as a city, now we need UDOT obviously to do what they can to address the safety on I-15, but what we're focused on as a city is the streets. That does include UDOT streets like University Avenue and State Street, but there's not much that we as a city can do on I-15. Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, this is a question that speaks to that specific issue. I'm sure you heard about Tuesday's motorcycle auto crash, 9th South, and
Yep,
South
and State.
Street.
Mhm.
So for a couple of years now, I've been reaching out to Matt Parker at the Region 3 office, Shannon Ellsworth, who's the council representative for that district. We've been reaching out to him about, she's been reaching out as well. And part of our concern is well, we're concerned about all users. And we would like to see a signal at 9th South and State, precisely where that crash happened on Tuesday. And also it would have the benefit of making Southeast Provo a little less of a active transportation desert, because there would be a crossing right there from the South State Street Trail. Also, it would connect to the Provost Bicentennial route, if we can get that formalized. And it would, connect people in Southeast Provo over to, the front runner station and the downtown around the cemetery. It's a really great route. And so I don't know if Public Works Engineering has a position, if you could raise your voice as well. Matt Parker seemed to think, the last email I got from him a couple of months ago was that Brian Phillips at the Region 3 office was hoping to try to make a decision by October. And so if engineering could also voice your support, I think that would be helpful, especially given what happened on Tuesday. And a signal there likely would have made that sort of collision much less likely.
Yeah, on a somewhat personal note, the one and only crash that I have caused in my life, where I was the driver and it was my fault, was at 9th South and State Street, and it was because of that. You're looking at a sharp turn. The guy in front of me, I thought was, he was rolling forward. It looked like he was taking off, so I started to look back to see who was coming, and he hadn't taken off. And I, at least that one was a small fender bender, wasn't a serious one, but I know intimately the problems with that intersection. So I'll check in with Brian. He had been gone on a month-long vacation, just came back within the last week or two. So I hadn't, we'd asked him to take a look at a couple of different intersections that we think, are UDOT's very strict about, hey, it either meets the warrants or it doesn't, period. No discussion, which I understand, based off of their budgets and very many communities that they're looking at, that they feel they need to be that way. They're all good guys, but that's kind of how they are. So I'll follow up with Brian and I'll see where we're at on that one. The other thing that I've been thinking is that where we have that trail money, we may discuss with UDOT whether it's trying to have them help out or we need to do something too. But if we're going to be in that area anyways, we may want to look at a realignment or doing something, even if you say, hey, it doesn't meet signal warrants, trying to do something at that corner, because it is a hazard.
Yep.
So we'll do something within the next few years. I just don't, I can't promise for UDOT what they will do. Yeah. Yeah, so there's the heat map, and so UDOT also has their own version of the Vision Zero statement. So we're all have that as our goal, and we should be putting in projects to implement it, to get rid of those fatal tragedies and the serious crashes. The other thing too that the project, well, I guess first off I'll show. So you take that heat map and turned it into, kind of looked at the corridor, tried to figure out, okay, based off of the type of crash, what is the issue, and then created these high injury networks, these sections of road that we're seeing the highest amount of crashes, overall crashes come into it, but really weighted by the serious and fatal serious injury and fatal crashes. And so these are our high injury networks. And then the thing that that's really become a focus in not just transportation, but including transportation, has been an equity analysis, and those that have some disadvantages overall, trying to focus the monies on helping them. And so there's for transportation items, there is specifically a transportation disadvantages that could include underprivileged areas from a minority standpoint, from a economic standpoint. Is it walkable or not walkable at all? Are there barriers that people to be able to walk? Are there barriers, significant barriers for them to cross? Are they close by options like transit or not? And based off of, there's several criteria, but a disadvantage they say are ones that have 4 or more disadvantages, and the red are the ones that fit within that profile in Provo. It's kind of interesting. Some of the ones that I would have thought I would have thought more of the southwest area of town would have been. I would have thought that Joaquin would have been, but not according to their criteria. And so it's not that we only focus on these areas, but in terms of grant funding through this program, they'll more heavily look at the ones that meet that disadvantaged. So this shows you, and I'll have to zoom out just a little bit. So like I said, red are the ones that meet the 4, and so that's what they consider a truly transportation disadvantaged area. But then this also shows you how many disadvantages. So there's some areas that only meet 1, 2 is the green area, 3 is the yellow area, and then 4 is the red area. And when we overlay our high injury networks on that area, you can see that there's quite a few that overlap on those disadvantaged areas. And so basically what the purpose of this is to take a look at these and say, okay, take a look at the specific crashes that we see happening that are resulting in serious injuries and deaths, and let's look at specific solutions that are tied to that specific type of crash. And so we don't have time to go through all of them here, but as you see here, we went through 28 different locations, and there's multiple things that we could take a look at doing that would that should help mitigate these type of crashes. And so it's just another tool in our tool belt. There's things from an active transportation standpoint. There's creating more left protected turns so that you're separating out the pedestrian crossing phase from the left-hand turn phase. There's creating pedestrian refuge islands at the intersections where possible. There's putting in roundabouts at some of our wider non-signalized intersections that are just 4-way stops, but we've had a couple of those that they're super wide and people don't stop at the stop signs, and so it's proposing roundabouts there to really shorten that distance, slow cars down as they're going through the intersection. So anyways, there's a lot of different, it all depends on, like I said, what type of crash we're seeing at these locations as to what type of at least initial thoughts are, because that's what these are. These aren't final designs, right? This is kind of the initial thought of this type of thing is typically will help with these crashes. But as we move forward and actually implement the design, then we'll take we'll take those intersections and we'll say, okay, now we really need to delve down to exactly what we're doing. And that is the plan going forward. So we'll use this to help go after grant funding, but we'll also use this to help in our determination of priority projects and what we're going to do when we do projects in these areas. Are there any questions?
Is this document publicly available now, Rob?
It is. It's on our engineering website. So there's a kind of a list of documents off to the right-hand side. If you go to the engineering webpage, and it's the last one on that, or I said left-hand, right-hand side.
Any other questions for Rob?
Rob, you go ahead.
Well, I don't know if it's relevant or related or not, Rob, so I'm sorry if I'm off base here, but has there been any discussion in the city about citywide decisions about, like, I guess I'm wondering, like kind of like Salt Lake City's doing, where they're trying to reduce the speed on all in-town cities to a certain speed. I would just love some kind of like blanket policy that was like any street that has cyclists on it is going to be 20 miles per hour or less, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, but so that we don't have to fight the fight on every single street. You know, sometimes it feels like we have to fight the fight on every single street, but if we had just like a citywide policy, is there any thoughts about that? I don't know if that's related to this safety thing at all, but just wondered about that.
Well, one of the councilwomen did ask about that. So I would say that it's related because that was part of the discussion. So it didn't come up. It wasn't something that we put in here. Given the time frame, we said, hey, let's our suggestion that the council went with is not saying we can't have that discussion, but it's based off the time frame that we had. Let's focus on what we've got and get it approved, and then we can continue on discussions. So there is that discussion. We may, like I said, I know that at least some on the council are interested in I don't know if they're saying let's go and do it, but at least we need to have that discussion. And so, yes, we'll have that discussion going forward. I think from my standpoint, I do feel like there's certain places where a lower than 25 mile per hour speed limit is appropriate. I think my focus, and there's, different philosophies, and I understand, and not everybody's going to agree with this, but really my focus is to get people to go down to even the speed limits that we have. And then we can talk about, let's get them lower. I think it's not the right attitude to have. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it seems to be the attitude that people, if they feel like the speed limit is unreasonable, they just don't follow it. And there's enforcement that can be done to help with that, but it's not everything is going to be solved and resolved with enforcement. So we need to put in hard infrastructure, and I think we have a lot of hard infrastructure that we need to put into place. Salt Lake City made a different decision. In the end, we may make a different decision. We still need to have the discussion, but at least my current thinking is that we need to put in a lot of hard infrastructure so that 20 miles per hour is, or 25 even, is the speed limit that people feel like they should be going on the street.
Well, I applaud that. I agree with that as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Anyone else for Rob? Otherwise, we'll turn it over to Clark for bike ped counts. All right, Clark, you can take the stage.
All right, great. Give me a sec to get my screen sharing and presentation set up here. So it's another September passed, and that means another round of bike and pedestrian counts. Let me give you let's see how we're working here. Here we go. Okay, so at a glance, this happened in the middle of September. It was two days of volunteer work. We had 16 volunteers total, about 40 hours of work so far, with some more analysis coming your way from me that you'll see. We counted at 10 locations. There was one downpour on Thursday night that our wonderful volunteers, some of them sat through and made it past. And we counted 2,901 active trips in Provo, including many during the downpour. One of the cool things about this count, props to one of the volunteers that stayed through the downpour, was Todd Greener. He was on our 200 East bikeway just south of BYU campus and recorded hundreds of pedestrians that braved the rain and continued to use our active transportation infrastructure despite the weather. So that was one, I think, win from this this project. Quick background. This is a project that Austin Taylor started in 2019 based on a national methodology. The goal is to estimate existing and future bicycle and pedestrian demand and activity by conducting counts and surveys in a consistent manner, to that being used kind of in a nationally vetted way. And let's see. If you're interested in the methodology, come and chat, and we'll probably put up a blog post at some point. But an example here, I give volunteers a spot. They'll go and stand in that spot for 2 hours and count all of the active trips that pass that the orange line, which in this is the bikeway example that I mentioned just south of BYU campus. We had 10 different spots that we grabbed on these 2 different dates. And these are those spots. So black is the same that it was the last couple of years. We counted over by Paul Ream Park on the Provo River Trail, the 200 East Bikeway. We looked at the Provo Library UVX crossing right at 600 North on University Ave. We counted on Center Street, 700 North, the UVX corridor just south of BYU, but further east, and a couple spots on 900 East. Christine mentioned to me that this may be important because of discussions around potentially doing some work on that road at some point in the future. We adjusted a couple from last year. The rec center was across a crosswalk that doesn't really represent rec center foot and bike traffic, and so we switched it to the corner of Freedom and 500 North. We adjusted the Provo Central Station spot just to get a higher volume of the active trips leaving Provo Station and heading north towards Provo. And then we added a Cougar Boulevard spot this year because we're interested in tracking the effect of that infrastructure. Quick couple of overviews here. So 2,901 total trips was what we counted. The vast majority of these are trips on foot, pedestrians, but we also counted 370 bicycle trips and 87 e-scooters and then some other trips as well. These are just numbers that we counted within our 4 or sometimes 3 hour stretches at each of these sites. One of the things that is still to come is there is sort of a national methodology to take these numbers and crudely extrapolate out some idea for how this volume looks on a yearly basis. I've not done that yet. So this is where we're at though. So this is overall by mode. I'll show you also by location, not entirely unexpected here, but Center Street, we see a lot of volume. I've just taken, since we had some days we only counted at one spot and we didn't get to it on both days, and some days we had to leave early because of rain. So this is all divided by like the number of hours that we spent at each spot. So Center Street, out of the spots that we counted at the times that we counted, has the highest active transportation volume by far, which is exciting. We know there's still important work to be done around car and bike infrastructure there, but especially for pedestrians, this is a great walkable area. The 200 East Bikeway continues to show a lot of traffic with BYU students. It's one of the heaviest utilized areas in Provo. And then you can see kind of heading down the rest of the list here, an idea of the counts that we got. The last graph was all modes combined. So I don't know if this is the best way to see it, but this is one way to see kind of the split of bike versus pedestrian traffic at different places. So further right means more bike traffic, higher up means more pedestrian traffic. So Center Street, you can see, tends towards pedestrian traffic and is high volume in that way. Whereas the 200 East Bikeway and the Provo River Trail tend to have a lot of bike volume compared to the overall pedestrian volume we counted at the different places. This is also interestingly true of the Provo Central Station. We've heard from our representative of UTRU and their survey about bikes and transit. And so this, I think, is another important data point as we in Utah and Provo work to continue to improve kind of last mile trips as it relates to the overall trips and public transit. Mode by gender was interesting. So bicycles and e-scooters, we had 27% female based on site recognition at our counts. Pedestrian was about an even split, 53% female, 47% male. And really this is, there's some good information here, and also it's just kind of a teaser because there's a lot more to come. I am working now on looking at trends comparing to 2021 and back to 2019. We skipped in 2020 because of COVID. We have a nice data point around weather because we counted in the rain this year. So there will be more coming on sunny versus rainy usage volume differences. As I mentioned before, I'm going to do some research into this and use a methodology for trying to, again, crudely extrapolate this to, like, on this stretch of road, what does the yearly volume look like? And there'll be some maps. I didn't have any maps today yet, but they are coming. The last thing I'll mention, I come out of kind of a data and statistics background, and so like once a year is awesome, and it's way better than nothing. But I know last year Rob mentioned that the city has started adding some cameras to count bike movements, and they have potentially some cameras available where we could film, speed up, and count. So I think this year I am thinking more seriously about how to augment these counts with more frequent accounts as well, so that we can build out some even more, statistically significant and get a fuller picture of how our active transportation infrastructure is getting used. And I think the usage piece ties in really well with the safety piece that we've been researching heavily, that Rob has been researching heavily, as kind of a full picture of the health of our active transportation infrastructure and how we can continue to improve it in the future. So that is what I have for you today. And as I mentioned, more to come. Happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Thanks, Clark. Any questions? Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Well, I have a couple of quick comments. So yeah, we have those cameras. The battery lasts for about 48 hours, but yeah, we're happy. Clark, if you want to just tell us where it would be useful, we can stick them out there and have our interns do the counts for you. So
Awesome.
the other thing too that I think will be interesting to see is I believe Bird is putting in their stencils and kind of switching everything out, and they're the ones that are going to be the new scooter and bike share in Provo. So with implementing the first actual bike share, it'll be interesting to see how patterns change and volumes change on some of these corridors.
Yeah. Rob, do you know roughly a rollout timeline?
That I got an email earlier this week about that they're supposed to be stenciling things out. I think this week they're going to the different locations and kind of putting their logos where Link has had all the things, and then they'll start putting their scooters there. I would anticipate. I don't know for sure because it's actually planning this over the scooter and bike share program.
Yeah.
But my anticipation based off of the emails was that we'll see their stuff out, beginning to see their stuff out by the end of this week or early next week.
Right. Yeah, I'm just wondering if a critical mass of bikes comes before it gets too cold, then we may want to do another count, and I'd be curious to see how the volumes change.
Yeah.
I had emailed I can't remember, Sandy, is that her name?
Yeah.
I had emailed her to see if she could present also on the transition to the new company, but she didn't respond or wasn't available. So we'll try to get more information on that, because I know that our volunteers and followers and everything are really interested in that. And the impacts that it might have on ridership. Were there any, so the super pedestrian contract hadn't ended, Clark, so we saw those scooters during this count. I didn't at my location, so that's why it's coming to my head, but some of those e-scooter counts must have been the super pedestrian scooters.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
I think you and I only actually saw bird scooters, not,
Yeah.
not the
So we
super
had
pedestrian one.
the like
Somebody
black
brought them
market
down from Orem, but
bird scooters or something. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Anything else, Rob, any other comments you had?
No,
On the-
like I said, other than just let us know what data we can get you and where it would be helpful to put out our cameras, and we can help with those counts. So because we're obviously interested in them also.
Yeah.
How do they handle a downpour?
Sorry, you broke up there, Christina.
Oh, how do the cameras handle a downpour?
I think we've had them out in the rain before, so they should handle rain. I will say that one of our, the bigger traffic counters that we had in one of the heaviest downpours, it did not handle it as well as usual. So I can't say they're 100% waterproof, but they should be able to handle some rain.
Cool. Any other questions for Clark on the bike ped counts? And also a thank you to the volunteers who came out in rain or shine and spent 2 hours counting. It's always a fun experience. So if we do another count or have other ways that we're counting, I invite everyone to do that. It's really a neat way to see active transportation in the city. And it makes me think we should change our name to BikeWalk Provo because of the overwhelming stats that pedestrian counts are way higher than biking. And just a reiteration of why our focus is on, all modes of active transportation instead of just biking.
Yeah, just echo that, Christine. It's really fun to get out and just kind of stake out a spot and see how it gets used. So I think we will supplement heavily with technology, but we won't get rid of the hand counts altogether because it's a good way to draw in. We had a lot of BYU students from transportation that came and helped out, and it's a good way to also get some qualitative insights about how the infrastructure is working.
Yeah. All right, anything else? I don't have a clock, so I don't know how much time we have. Are we out of time? I mean, I have a clock, but my Zoom is hiding my time.
It's 5:59.
Okay, wow, right on time. I need a clock.
Actually, I have a question.
I can read the sun. Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
Rob, any updates on the pedestrian bridge? Has the railroad signed the document?
Oh,
Still no, but
still no.
We're closer than we've ever been. No, the thing that's been the holdup, there is a document of an agreement that they send out that needs to be signed, and like half the responsibilities are UTA, since they're the ones that are constructing it. There's liability insurance and different things, and then half of it is for the long-term maintenance, which Provo will take over once it's built. There's only one entity that can sign it, and we said, well, let's do it this way then. Let's propose that UTA will sign it now, and then we'll just do a changeover. When it comes to us, we'll kind of re-sign the document, and UTA was fine with that. We were fine with that. UP said, no, we're only going to have this signed once. So we've got to have that. We got to tweak the wording, their wording. Then they were like, okay, well, then we need to tweak it to say who's responsible for what. Anyways, it's the fine tune, fun legal stuff that UP is using as the latest excuse as to why we can't move forward on this project. But anyways, it's mind numbing, some of the hoops that you have to jump through, but we'll get it built.
Good.
Next monthly meeting, I'm sure it will be signed.
Yep.
All right, thanks for the update and for all the details on the safety action plan. I hope everyone goes and looks at it. I know there's a lot more in there that we would be interested in. So thanks for sharing and for the tight timeline you worked under to make that happen for Provo City. Okay, anything else? I think that's good. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you next month.
All right. Happy riding.
Thank you.
And walking.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Jacob.
Hey,
Let me